Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for the privilege to come and learn about what you are doing in the State House. We pray these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
We're outside a church in Boise to attend a town hall organized by the Idaho Family Policy Center, a right-wing Christian lobby organization who wrote this bill outlawing a sexualized exhibition in public spaces, also known as the anti-drag bill.
Please welcome Blaine Canzati.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you tonight. Man, this is a good crowd. Thank you for coming out.
Blaine Canzati is a key figure in conservative Idaho politics. He's helped pass laws restricting access to abortion and limit trans students' participation in girls' sports. Now he's rallying support for his latest effort.
The House Bill 265, the drag show legislation, passed off the House floor this morning. Yeah. You want to have kids at your drag show? Don't do it. You want to have adults at your drag show? You want to do that at your private venue? That's fine. Under this legislation, check IDs at the door. That's pretty basic to me.
Canzati's bill would limit children's access to drag performances. But there's a larger plan behind it, to make biblical law the law of the land.
There's one objection that we always hear. You can't legislate morality. You can't impose your morality on others or expect your morality to reign in the public square. Is that true? As Christians, we know that God's law is the perfect reflection of morality. And if his law is the perfect reflection of morality, then wouldn't we want to model our civil laws after his? After that perfect law, when men begin to shirk back from their responsibility and allow evil men to set policies and set rules and promote evil in the public square, we get here.
Canzati is just one piece of a national movement of right-wing Christian groups like the Family Research Council and Alliance Defending Freedom that's had remarkable success pushing anti-LGBTQ laws. This year, 10 states have passed bills restricting gender-affirming care for trans youth, and 18 states have introduced bills to restrict drag shows. In 2 of them, Tennessee and Arkansas, it's the law. Canzati's work often involves strategizing with lawmakers like Ben Taves, who sponsored the drag bill in the Senate.
I think that there's going to be a hearing on the bill guaranteed.
Okay.
As far as a path to getting it passed, there's a few people that I'm going to have to get on board. I'm hearing that as a theme where a lot of people are concerned about civil rights of action.
Alliance Defending Freedom and Heritage and Family Research Council, they only want bills with civil cause of action enforcement mechanisms at this point, because relying on prosecutors to enforce these types of, it's not going to happen.
Canzati's bill would restrict any public drag show deemed, quote, patently offensive to an average person. It was inspired in part by a viral video showing what some people interpreted as inappropriate dancing in front of kids. But not everyone has the same idea of what's offensive.
I firmly believe that drag shows are sexual in nature. When you expose children to that type of material, it will harm children.
Where is your evidence that seeing a drag show causes harm to a child?
So there is a wealth of scientific and academic literature that demonstrates the harm caused to children by sexual conduct. There's a reason why.
But you're equating drag shows with sexual conduct.
Absolutely. Yep.
So there's no spectrum there.
So certainly there are some types of sexual conduct that are more obscene than others.
But adult entertainment can be anal gangbang, and it can be a drag show on the street.
Sure, yeah. When you are exposing kids to drag performances, you are exposing them to a vision of sexuality and gender that's transgressive. That's the purpose of drag.
Welcome. Listen, everybody should feel comfortable here because you are in a loving queer space. And we love you all. Thank you all so much for being here.
Idaho is a conservative state, but it has a vibrant drag community. Still, like much of the country, they've experienced a surge in violence and threats. Last summer, dozens of members of the far-right group Patriot Front were arrested and accused of plotting an attack on a pride event in Coeur d'Alene. Later, the Boise Pride Festival was forced to cancel its youth drag show over safety concerns. Aslan Walker is a non-binary 15-year-old who was planning to perform.
Drag is like the embodiment of self-expression. Drag is so important to me because of the fact that I have found an actual community and like group of people that I feel safe within.
So you found yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a performance that I had been working on for 4 months.
Aslan taught themselves to
Lip sync in Korean and Mandarin.
What happened to that?
There were many incredibly like threatening, violent protesters that were threatening to come to the show with guns.
basically called us groomers, said we were all pedophiles. It was a call to arms. It was really awful. It was a very scary time for us.
When they presented this bill, they presented it as this sort of common sense thing, like, we're not going after the drag community at large. We just don't want our kids to be exposed to perversions.
Right.
Is that misrepresentation then?
All of the children that I see at the drag shows love it. They love the costumes and the glitter and the pretty makeup. I feel like the people who are creating these bills don't really realize that who they think they're protecting, they're just hurting.
What will it mean for you and your community if Idaho keeps going in the direction in which it's going?
We're probably gonna have to move out of the state.
At this point, it kind of feels like we're fleeing.
I've lived here my entire life. This is the state where I've been raised. So having to leave will be horrible, but also I can't stay here. Like, this is not a healthy place for me to be in any way.
They're trying to build this world where only people like them are allowed to exist.
What would your ideal America look like?
So we would want to see government following biblical law when it comes to moral issues. I mean, it would look more like the United States in the 17 and 1800s. When you follow God's laws, you experience the same type of prosperity, freedom, no matter what time you're implementing those laws in.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that America was necessarily a free country back in the 18th century.
I would beg to differ. America at that time was the most free country in the world and has remained that way since.
What's going to happen to gay people?
Somebody who is same-sex attracted would have just as much of a place in society. We would probably not recognize, a marriage.
So not really. Not really just as much of a place.
Oh, absolutely just as much of a place.
But there would be certain things that they would be barred from.
No, they wouldn't be barred from anything that anyone else would be allowed to do.
Except marriage.
Well, they could still get married, right? They would just have to marry somebody of the other biological sex. So
What?
Yeah, we have to set boundaries on marriage, right? We already do with polygamy.
Do you ever wonder if you're like on the wrong side of Footloose with Kevin Bacon?
We don't want the dancing to take place.
Yeah, exactly. Well, is that what you're saying?
No, of course not. But we will keep pushing until biblical truth and Christian morality is the prevailing philosophy in the public square.
Let's bring on our first entertainer of the evening. Listen, as a child, this queen did not, like most of us, get to be who they really wanted to be, and now that's all this bitch can do. I want you to give it up for the ethereal goddess herself, Maliha Gemini.
Has it become more fraught and scary to perform your art?
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. it's very difficult for somebody like me to be labeled by somebody who doesn't know me as a pedophile.
We've received death threats. We have had people coming to our house. We've had to set up cameras all around our house now. As someone who pays taxes in this shithole of a state, it fucks with you.
Their ultimate goal is to push queer people into the shadows. And once they get this passed, they're going to pass another one. And then they're going to pass another one, and they're going to pass another one. This is not going to stop.
I don't know, to me, I'm just like, I want you to have the same energy with all the pedophiles in the Catholic Church. Like, sorry. I think it's anger. A lot of it is anger. The tears are 90% anger. I had to take a class on how to use a firearm.
It's very scary right now, but we have to remind ourselves that we are on the right side of history and that we always have been.
Why should children be allowed to do drag? Why should children be allowed to see drag performances?
At the end of the day, it's an art form. It's important to have things like Pride and drag queens present because there was no queer representation for me growing up in the 90s. Drag is what gave me the permission to be myself, to love myself as a queer person.
It's important for those little queer kids to see people like Maliha and I to get up there and do the thing. They don't have that in these tiny little farming towns, but I promise you there's queer people there, there's trans people, there's gay people. And I know from experience that they feel very alone.
I just hope that people are not scared and to still go out there, even do your mundane things, go out there and just be who you are no matter what. You're gonna be a representation to somebody. And you won't even know it, but you will be just by being yourself. So just keep on keeping on.
I hope you enjoyed me tonight. I hope you enjoyed this cast. Please get up one more time for all of us.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.